Good morning. Thanks, Eric. Thank you for having us here. We are really excited to show you some new stuff. But before we start, I just want to give you a 2-minute on what Bundle is. Bundle is a personal finance company that uses data to help people make decisions with their money. When I say data, what we're referring to is we have aggregated anonymized data on the spending of about 20 million American households. Using that data, we can actually create products that can show people interesting trends or interesting facts about how they spend money and help them in their decision-making around that front. For those who might remember, about a year ago, we launched Everybody's Money. And Everybody's Money allowed you to compare your spending to other people like you. So you could filter by age, income, household status, down to a zip code, and see how other people like you are spending on different categories. This time around, we actually took it a little bit further, and this is what we want to focus on. We turned the data to the merchants that everyone goes to. And we said, well, what if we could actually show the behavior of people's spending against specific merchants? And why do we want to do this? We think that today there's a lot of qualitative data out there on merchants. If you're thinking about choosing a restaurant to go to, a bar to go to, a place to go shopping for your clothes, there's a lot of qualitative information out there. However, that qualitative information has got a weakness in that it is qualitative. And in the absence of actually looking at some other hard data points, you might make the wrong decision. So why don't we walk through via example of how we actually are using this product right now. So about a week ago, we were hungry at Bundle, and somebody recommended a restaurant called Takashi. Now, we did the usual things. We looked it up, and we said, all right, well, it seems like it's got a very high rating on some of the review sites, and it sounds like it's not crazy expensive. It's expensive. But however, before we do that, let's look at Bundle to get a slightly different perspective as well. Now, we created the score called the loyalty score, which is a measure simply how often do people go back to this place? Is this a place where people actually go back to, or is it a one-time visit kind of place? And we think that that is a better indication of quality than just a qualitative review. Now, there's value in combining the two. However, we think that this loyalty score gives you a different perspective on a specific venue. So Takashi had a low loyalty score. It's got a loyalty score of about 34 in this case. Let's see what that 34 is actually made of. So when you break out the 34, you can realize that this restaurant actually had a low purchase frequency, a low share of wallet use, and about an average popularity index. So it gives you a very different perspective on a particular merchant compared to some of the qualitative review information that we saw. And this is actually based on actual people going there and spending money because we are evaluating anonymously credit card swipes against this. Let's bring another example that's a little bit closer to home. So yesterday, we were actually looking for a place to eat. I guess we eat out a lot. We were at Mission and Stewart Street, just near the Embarcadero, and we said, well, is there a place around here? Now, luckily, we've developed a mobile app, which I'd encourage you to download if you have an iPhone. It's called Bundle. And when we fired up the location of where we were, and we started looking at venues close to that, and got it down to a specific price range, and then further kind of honed into what are the places around that where we might want to go to, a restaurant popped up right on the top of the list called Azumo. Now, we had heard about Azumo from a couple of other friends as well, and we said, hey, that sounds pretty interesting. Let's try it. Once again, the review sites, standard, 3+ stars. Review sites told us that we'd spend about, $50 a head over there. But when we looked at Bundle, we actually found, okay, well, you know what? The loyalty score is above average. That's quite good for this price range. Now, the price range was actually very different. The price range that we saw, that the average check was about $150. Now, that set our expectation. We knew walking in that it's not going to be $50 a head. It's probably going to be, combined $150 check for us. So going into it, we knew that piece of information. When we broke out the loyalty score, actually the three components looked a little bit different. First of all, the purchase frequency was lower than average, but that can be explained in part because we have a more expensive restaurant in this case. But the other two variables were actually higher than the averages. And so we went to Azumo, and it was a great meal. And for those who've been there, it's a pretty trendy place. Good-looking people there. Eating good food, and you could tell that the night didn't end over there. That they were going to go to some other places as well. Now, what we have once again is the spending behavior of people. So we can track if people went to Azumo, where else did they go? And using that information, you can see other restaurants they went to. You can see where they shop for clothes. You can see which entertainment venues they go to. And in this case, we could see which bars and other nightclubs they actually went to. And there was one that we found, Rick House. We actually ended up not going because we were on New York time still. But it serves as a way to actually discover your city in a very different way using actual information. Now, where do we go from here? We think that we could create some really interesting subsegments. We could create subsegments of where the foodies, for example, go. And that might yield very different loyalty scores for the same venues. We can show you where people who always seem to be getting that deal and who are super thrifty, where do they go? And you can figure out which segment you want to track at different points in time. We also believe that you can create some very interesting trending information of this. We can show you the places that are actually picking up in popularity versus going down. This is an alpha version. New York and San Francisco is the only one that exists. I would encourage you to use it, and I'd love your feedback and build this for your own city. Thank you very much.